encourage your soul, enlighten your mind, and empower your faith. This is the Light Network. Hello and welcome to Preachers in Training. This is the podcast on which we discuss all things preaching and ministry. My name is Robert Hatfield. We're coming to you once again from the exhibit hall floor of Polishing the Pulpit 2025 in Sevierville, Tennessee. There's so many PTPs now that we have to specify the exact location. I'm glad to get to sit down again with Adam Faughn, who preaches for the Central Church of Christ in Paducah, Kentucky. No stranger to us here. Welcome back, Adam.
It's good to be back at Polishing the Pulpit. Duh.
Okay, I like that. Even though Sevierville is older and more original than Branson, so I don't know if Sevierville would take lightly to you calling it duh in that French accent that's a little demeaning.
You know, I have such a French accent.
I apologize to all our French listeners.
Both of them probably just got offended.
Yeah, that's right. They were already offended. It's okay. How's PTP going for you?
It's going well. A little different this year. We didn't get to come in at the beginning. We took Tyler to college Saturday, so we were one of those families that rolled in Saturday night crying, you know, drop off the baby at college and then drive across the state. So but once we got settled in, it's going well. So.
Good. Very good. And everything at Central in Paducah, things are going really well, it seems.
Yeah, very well. We love it. Love it. Great people.
If you're ever in Paducah, check them out at the Central Church of Christ there. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram as well. And you guys are really active with all the socials and all that stuff. So really, really good. I know they'd be glad to see you. We're talking today about Preacher Keep Growing. And I thought about you with this topic. I think a listener requested this one. They just wanted to hear more about like how we feed ourselves and how we can, I don't know, you said before we started, maybe we ought to title it Keep Going instead of Keep Growing, because we're recording this at 8 p.m. on Monday of PTP week. So we're feeling that this moment. But I thought about you because you actually have for years, and you stopped for a little while, and now you've started it back up, but you post about the books that you read as a way of, I think you say you just kind of use that to chronicle for yourself what's going on. I know you're an avid reader, is that right? Do you keep up with how many you read a year and all?
I do, and that's one reason I did that. Started doing that a few years ago. Was it was to chronicle, and some of it I had people ask me sometimes, what are you reading? I thought, well, I'll just share it out there I finished when I finished. But it also was kind of it holds you accountable a little bit. When you put on social media, it's like, I've only read one book in the last 4 years. Books. Why am I possibly sharing this? So my goal and it's changed over the years a little bit, and frankly, this year I may not reach it because this has been a wild year. I have a very odd goal, but my goal is to read 61 books a year.
61.
That's 60 plus the Bible. That's the idea.
Got it.
So the one is always the Bible. So really 60 other books is the goal every year.
So that's about 5 books a month. That's what you're doing, plus the Bible.
Right.
So, okay, let's start with the book first, and that's the Bible. Okay, now, first of all, maybe we ought to back up before that. You got to have a way to nourish yourself beyond sermon prep.
Right.
And one of the big misconceptions about preaching is, if you're a preacher, you get to study God's Word all the time, especially if you're a full-time minister, right? You're not a tent-making, bivocational preacher. There's no such thing as a part-time preacher. That's why I didn't say it that way. So you've got to do something beyond your own sermon prep. I mean, that will feed you to some degree, but it's not the same as your devotional life. You're nodding. I guess you agree with that.
Yeah, and if we're talking about reading books, especially like cover to cover, I don't want to say rarely, but not often do you read a book cover to cover in sermon preparation. You're reading this section of a commentary or this chapter of a lectureship book. So rarely are you saying, okay, I'm going to study, I'm going to preach one sermon from Acts, I'll read 9 full commentaries on Acts. That just doesn't happen very often.
No, you don't have. Who has time for that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so very good. Now let's start with the Bible, and you're reading through the Bible. Do you follow you must follow some kind of plan? Do you vary the plan? Do you do Genesis to Revelation? What do you do with that?
I do two, and I don't really have a plan as far as how often I do these, but I go through Genesis through Revelation for 2 or 3 years, and then about every 3rd or 4th year I do chronological.
How do you is it just kind of like, I think this year I'm feeling like I need to go back to chronological?
It's it's really a matter of I haven't done it in like 2 or 3 years, and I've kind of forgotten.
Okay.
Forgot. It really is no rhyme or reason to when I do that. I love it when I do it.
Yeah.
If preachers in training, hopefully a lot of preachers have, but if you have never read the Bible chronologically, it is a different experience.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Mm-hmm.
We recommended it at Central, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. We gave people just a chart, and several people used it, and it was amazing how many people who were faithful Christians, like, I've never read the Bible that way, and that was a totally different experience.
Right. And it's interesting because you'll end up, just cut off mid-book or mid-chapter, and you come over here and you read this random psalm, and you come back over here, and it's pretty neat.
Yeah. So like I said, there's no real rhyme or reason to how often. I used to read from a different translation each year.
Okay, I was going to ask that next.
I still do that sometimes, but I read more from the English Standard Version, and yes, that's because it's what I preach from.
Okay.
So I am kind of killing two birds with one stone that way.
Sure.
But I need to go back to reading from another translation every 3 or 4 years just to kind of remind myself of something else. But.
Yeah. Do you, and now I'm just getting into the brass tacks of things, but I'm just kind of interested. Do you have a separate Bible from your preaching Bible that you read from?
No, this is one of the oddities is I actually do my Bible reading from my preaching Bible, but my preaching Bible is not the one I take my notes in. So it is very much just the one that I use for reading and then sermon preparation, sermon study. But
Are there any notes in that Bible?
One.
There's one note.
One note.
Okay. Okay, I'm intrigued now. What is this?
It's my favorite note, and it's from Romans chapter 8, where it talks about the Holy Spirit helping with our prayers, and I have what that Greek word means. That's the only note in my preaching Bible.
Wow. Okay, that's cool. All right. Is the reason for having a different note-taking Bible because you want to internalize it more? You don't want to rely too much on the notes that are there?
Okay, that's the spiritual sounding reason, and that is a reason. The non-spiritual sounding reason, but also very practical, is I have absolutely horrible handwriting, and so the Bible that I keep my notes in is wider margin, so I can write larger, so it's more legible in the back end.
Okay, and you don't want to have to carry around the big Bible when you're doing the preaching.
Yeah.
Okay,
got it. So there's a spiritual reason and I'm a sloppy writer
and
reason.
A practical reason. Okay, that's good.
Just being honest.
We can go Dan Winkler. There's a spiritual component and a practical component. You use the word component and it becomes Winklerfied.
But you didn't alliterate it. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Good. So you've got a Bible that's kind of your devotional Bible. And then you have a Bible that's your preaching Bible, and you read from your preaching Bible that doesn't have any of the notes in it.
Right.
Okay. Do you ever find is it a discipline to not begin to sermonize while you're reading?
Very much so.
Yeah.
And we'll probably get into this in a few minutes.
Yeah.
It's also a challenge in reading anything else.
Okay.
Sometimes, and it really doesn't matter what you're reading. You could be reading a biography of a sports figure, and your brain goes, "Ooh, sermon illustration," instead of I'm trying to read this to shut my brain down for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Okay.
Because
can't turn it off.
Your heart's that much in preaching.
Yeah. That's
but
right.
sometimes you need to read for you, and you kind of almost have to flip your brain completely over to.
Right.
This isn't for. Let me find the 4 points here. This is for. Adam needs to change. Adam needs to improve.
Just let me pour into myself for a minute. Self. Okay. Neat. Let's talk about other books now that aren't the Bible for a minute. How do you determine what you're going to read? I mean, you got 60 other choices.
Right.
Do you have a big stack that's on the reading list? I know Brad McNutt, he's got like a shelf. And it's like, this is the to-read shelf.
Yep.
And the shelf is never empty.
Nope.
Okay.
I've got one at the office and one at home.
Okay. All right.
There's two ways I choose books.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and every preacher understands this, sometimes there are books you literally have to read. For sermon prep, for Bible class prep, for preparing to speak somewhere, for whatever. And so sometimes those go automatically on the shelf. I'm going to be preaching through a book of the Bible for a long time, and so yes, I am going to read X number of commentaries or X number of lectureship books or whatever it is. Or I'm going to be teaching a Bible class on a subject, and it would be in a sense almost foolish not to read this book to preparing for that. So sometimes it is the have to. Other times it is frankly just what I want to. A subject I haven't thought about in a while, an author I just like, someone who challenged. I mean, if Wayne Jackson wrote it, I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
I haven't gotten all of his books yet, but that's on the goal list.
Yeah.
It's to buy a book every so often, put on
They're
the
still
list.
publishing books that he wrote that have not been published.
Exactly.
Yet. Yeah.
And so some of it is just that, and that's at the office. At home, I read more American history, biography, that sort of thing, to kind of shut my mind down at night. And those really are twofold how I choose those books. One's the books that interest me, and then one's frankly the ones I can afford. I mean, I'm not going to spend a ton of money on those books because those are more just for fun.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I understand that. Good. Okay, so how many books are you reading at any one time?
Typically, about 2 at work and 1 at home.
Okay.
And I say typically because all of us know sometimes you are really deep into something and you need to be reading from X number of commentaries. And I'm not one of those guys that can sit down and read a commentary in 20 minutes. If you're going to preach through something, you're talking about reading through a commentary probably in a series of weeks, if not months.
Yeah.
So sometimes if it's going to be something like that, I might have just another quote-unquote reading book going.
Sure,
while I normally finishing these 4 commentaries or 3 commentaries.
Over a period of time.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But typically, if it's just normal, a couple at work, 1 at home, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Is there a set number of commentaries that, like, if I'm preaching through Romans, maybe I'm doing an expository series throughout the year on the book of Romans. Is there a number? You try to read every commentary you have on the shelf?
Depending on how many I have.
Brad and I talk about this. Brad, we're like, if I got 20 commentaries, I feel like I need to at least thumb through every one of them.
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
I preached through Mark, I would say a couple of years ago, but it took a couple of years. So a couple.
I started preaching through Mark.
Our youth minister and I, Noah Davis, and I preached through Mark. It took
cool.
2 years, about 60-something sermons.
Wow.
To go through Mark. We didn't preach every Sunday on it, obviously.
Yeah.
But when I did Mark, there were, I think, 3 or 4 that I literally read word for word over the course of that time. But there were another half dozen that I would pull off in extremely difficult text, or okay, everybody's saying the same thing. Can somebody word this a little differently?
Yes.
So word for word, 3, 4, but have several others ready for.
You tend to gravitate towards certain, authors, series, whatever it is. Yeah, I do the same thing. I may have 8 commentaries on Mark, but like you say, the 3 or 4 are going to be the ones that are like become my go-to. And then if I need to go to these others, like, I don't like the way this guy's describing this. He's not really making any sense, or he's saying the same thing the others are saying. Let's come over here for a fresh perspective.
Right.
Yeah, it's helpful. All right. What do you do? Are you I'm going to finish this book because I started it, or are you a
oh yes,
this is losing me, I'm out?
If I start it, I'm going to finish
You're
it.
trudging through.
I'm trudging through it. Now, there are times, this has not happened often, but there are times where I am so committed to that, and people are going to say, okay, then why is he ever on this podcast? where I will start a book that I'm just reading for whatever.
Yeah.
And it literally may take me 2 or 3 years. I will set it on the shelf, and okay, I finish this other book. I'll come back and read half a chapter, but I'm going to finish that book. That's rare, but it has happened.
Yeah. Do you remember? Like, are you able to just pick right back up in it?
Our minds are amazing.
Yeah,
yes,
really.
And I think most people can be that way.
Yeah,
you're not going to remember every detail, obviously.
Right.
But you got if a book, even if you don't like a book, if you have invested, 4 hours reading the first several chapters, but you set it down for a month and come back to it, it is remarkable when you get halfway through the next chapter and they say, now back in chapter 2, and you go, okay, I remember that was chapter 2, but I remember he said that.
Yeah.
It's remarkable how amazing God has made our brains.
That's pretty cool. What drives your reading habits? Have you always been a reader?
No.
Okay.
No.
So how did you convert? Tell us your story.
Yeah. Growing up, I like to read a little bit of like sports stuff. I was always a sports fan, but I liked reading like Sports Illustrated magazine, that kind of thing. So shorter stuff, but reading books I never really liked all that much.
Yeah.
In college, I never liked it. And I really think it was because I had to read that
Somebody
book.
told you
Exactly.
have to do it. Yeah.
But when I became a minister, and yes, I needed to read this commentary or this class book or whatever it was, but I was getting to choose the subject.
Yeah.
Other than obviously it's from the Bible, but I'm going to teach the teenage class on Revelation.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick Andy Kaiser's book on Revelation and read it but I got to choose that, and it became that. And then frankly, my you know this, Robert, my major in college was history.
Yeah.
And so the American history side of it is that's just what I like. And so, but I don't have a professor saying you have to read this book by this author by this date.
Yeah.
If I like this book, I can read it whenever I want to.
The magic of adulthood.
Exactly. And so it really has been that. And I've found that I remember more from reading than I ever thought I would, and that helps me. You know, there's a confidence, hopefully not arrogance in that, but a confidence in that.
Right.
It's like, my brain actually still works.
Sure. Okay.
But that's really where it comes from. Is I enjoy getting to read what I want to read.
Good. Yeah. Have there been seasons when it's been hard to carve out the time to read?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in one right now. This year has been very, very, very busy. And so, when the kids were very small, it was harder because you're trying to do more for them.
Yeah.
You know, that takes a lot of time.
Right.
But really, there really has not been a season of life where it was like I've gone weeks without reading. That just has not happened.
Yeah.
It's more sometimes, okay, it may be a week because of sickness, because of kids' insanity, or whatever. But no, it has never been where I look going, I haven't read this entire month. Nothing like that.
And I like what you say. I mean, you're willing to count in your 60 books a year. I mean, you're willing to count the sermon prep books, which why would you not? And class books and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, just the nature of the beast. You know, sort of to reduce it down to its crudest form, the necessity of the sermon factory is going to keep you dipping in.
Right. And and here we are recording a podcast.
Yeah.
Some guys listening to this may be thinking, I don't like to read all that much.
Yeah,
or some guys get upset with themselves because they're slow readers.
Yes.
Frankly, I'm a somewhat slow reader.
Are you?
To comprehend it.
Okay.
Now, I can fly through stuff and go, he wrote about the Civil War. I don't remember any battles from it, But to comprehend it, I'm not the fastest. I really have to set the time aside to nail it.
Yeah.
But some guys may be more learning from podcasts, learning from audiobooks, whatever. Right. And give your, I know guys that read multiplied times as many books as I read. Now, how do they do that? Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If they're learning and you're remembering, that's what matters. So, it's not the 61 books thing is a challenge to me.
Yes.
It's holding me accountable in a way. Some guys may think, man, I hadn't read 60 books in my lifetime. Okay, read one this year and listen to Preachers in Training with Robert Heaven.
Light Network.
But find good material that helps you learn, and that's what matters. Or watch YouTube videos or whatever that helps you learn.
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
Yeah. I'm all the time getting book recommendations from like your feeds, Brad McNutt, Hiram Kemp. They're always like, hey, you got to read this book, this. And all these books pile up on my to-read shelves. Now it's not just the one. And, but hey, eventually I get around to them, and it's a really great pleasure. And it's nice to have people in your life who can say, this is the book, and we've got a text thread like, hey, anybody found a good commentary on Psalms? You would think the Psalms, there would be many great commentaries. There aren't that many great commentaries on the Psalms. Proverbs is even worse.
Yep.
And so, we'll text around, hey, anybody taught recently on, you said Revelation, like, what are your top picks on Revelation? And everybody will start chiming in, and that's just, it's great to be able to sift through and get the best of the best and to benefit from each other, learning and studying, that kind of thing. And I don't know, I like that. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Goes back to the Preacher Network a little bit, too. And it gives us things to talk about. I know a lot of preachers' meetings, a lot of times they'll have like a book club portion of that. What have you read recently? Or somebody reads something and gives a book report basically on it. Or just kind of preacher water cooler talk, if that's a thing. Hey, what have you read lately? It's good stuff.
Every preacher knows it if they're paying attention at all. But I'll say it anyway. If you're producing as much material as a preacher is, if you're preaching twice on Sunday, which not everybody is, and that's fine, but you're probably speaking twice on Sunday, a Bible class and a sermon, if not 3 times. A lot of preachers teach a Wednesday night Bible class also. Yeah. Some preachers have like a Wednesday night devotional. Maybe some teach a ladies class during the week or a men's class. That is a tremendous amount of material. Here you are doing like 17 podcasts a week, I think.
About 17.
Something like that. Yeah, but it's a tremendous amount of output.
Yeah.
And it's the old picture of you cannot feed from an empty well. You just can't do it. And books are not the only way to do that.
Good. Okay.
But we all know that good books are also a way that helps you not just with the information.
Yeah.
It helps you with the logic of it. It helps your grammar. It helps your vocabulary. And you're filling up your well in a lot of ways. And like I said a few minutes ago about something else, you don't really realize how much of it you are remembering.
Yeah.
Until you sit there, you're poring over that passage in Romans, and somehow your brain goes, I read this somewhere. I may have to sift through a couple books to find it, but it's there.
I know,
and your brain can do it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
To your point, I mean, there are other ways, and here we are. We're doing these podcasts. We've been doing podcasts for 13 years, but podcasts haven't replaced books. Audio books are great, and they're just kind of a different form of consuming a book. So I'm going to say that hasn't replaced books. Digital books. We're still reading books. I mean, even if they're digital or hard copy, I'm a hard copy guy.
Me
but
too.
Anyway, although I do have a bunch of books on my computer as well. But I'm just saying, like, there's just really no substitute for reading. If you're going to be a learner, if you're going to be curious, if you're going to be somebody who's going to dig, you're going to have to learn to be a reader.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way around it.
Yeah. My wife has a friend who used to say that when people would tell her, I don't like to read.
Yeah.
Her and I may get the wording exactly right, but her response was basically something like this. Everybody likes to read. You just have to find out what.
Okay.
I was like, that's a good way. But there may be some
thing.
guys listening to this. They're like, I don't mind listening to podcasts or I don't mind scanning commentaries. But as far as sitting down cover to cover, I can't stand it.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you like hunting?
Mm-hmm.
I bet if I bought you the number 1 best-selling hunting book, you'd read it in a weekend.
Do that. Yeah, that's right.
And it builds this muscle of, okay, if I can read that,
right,
then can I step back and read? It may not be a commentary, but maybe it is just a quote-unquote simple 13-chapter class book.
Right.
Okay.
And maybe you haven't found the right author either.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that makes a big difference too. That's good. What's driving you in all this? Getting back to the motivation of it. I mean, you're carving out time for 60 books plus the Bible every year. Obviously, some of that, as we said, there's deadlines. Sunday's coming, Wednesday's coming. I got to be prepared. I want to give preaching and the people who are going to come listen to the preaching the very best, and they deserve that, and the Lord deserves that. But what's driving you day in and day out? I mean, the Sunday deadline really only kicks in like Thursday or Friday, unless you're and you're writing sermons, 3 months in advance or whatever.
Close.
Where is that? Where's that coming from for you?
A couple of different places. Yes, some the pressure of I need to know stuff to write sermons or whatever.
Expect me to know things.
I'll just be really vulnerable here. Some of it comes from, and I may have told you this story, Robert. When I was in graduate school, my degree is in history. I went back to graduate school to get a master's in ministry. And I was sitting in a Bible or a class. I think I remember which class it was, but right now it's not coming to mind. But anyway, and the first day of class, the professor asked, okay, what are you wanting to get out of this class? And I was probably about the 13th or 14th person to answer that question. Just went around the room, that kind of thing. And basically everyone before me that answered the question, their questions I would like to learn, they were asking about stuff that I didn't understand the question they were asking, but much less what the answer would have been. I want to learn about the declension of this and the Pauline, and I remember sitting there going, if I'm going to do this, I'm starting from ground zero, not step 10, and so there's always been in me this, not only better than anybody, that's not it, but it's always been this sense in me of I know I don't know stuff. And books, reading, podcasts, whatever, are a way to at least bridge some of that gap between what I know I don't know, and I'll never know everything, but I know I can get further. And so some of it comes from somewhat of a negative place in a way, from a somewhat embarrassing situation. Because, by the way, my answer to that question, I remember the class now, it was 1st and 2nd Peter and Jude. Because my answer to the question was, I've never really studied this book, and I want to know more. Because I wasn't going to say something where the other guys are going, okay, he didn't even ask the question right. Because I was so embarrassed. The good thing was that professor had so much grace as he said, that's a good answer to that question. And I was like, thank goodness, because I thought I failed on the first day. But that really drove me to, I need to be an information junkie because I know there's infinite stuff I don't know. I've
got some friends who've helped me see learning as a journey, and it's a personal journey in the sense that we're all starting at different places. Like you said, you're ground zero, but even your ground zero would be different than somebody else's ground zero who doesn't have the background of history that you had, right? So we're all trying to figure this out together, and I used to think, okay, I guess I just need to learn as many facts as I possibly can. And that seemed overwhelming to me. And so I thought, well, there's no way I can really do this. And then I just got to think, no, okay, just answer whatever next question you have. Mm-hmm. If you're digging here in a text, and if I'm in 2 Peter and Jude, who came first? Who's copying whom? Or are they copying it all? Do they just have the same source? What a thought. Okay. And so the Holy Spirit. Okay. And so I'm looking down through this, and I just pursue that. Mm-hmm. And it's just being a curious person.
Yep. That's it. And going back to the non-biblical stuff, like American history or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Some of that sometimes just needs to be for a guy like, don't worry about if what you enjoy reading, nobody else thinks is cool.
Okay, yeah.
You like it.
You don't even have to tell them you're reading it.
Just learn about it. That's fine. Just learn about it.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
And that's part of what makes the world neat is that you like different stuff than I like.
Yeah, that's right.
And so if you need to start with a subject that other people think that's the weirdest thing to read about,
right.
You like it. Cool.
Yeah.
As long as it's moral, read about it.
Sure.
Learn about it.
My wife thinks I'm weird because I like to research about podcasting stuff.
There you go.
And she's like, I used to listen to a podcast about podcasting.
I may have done that before.
I know. The one I used to listen to, they don't make anymore. But we'd be on road trips, and she'd be like, please don't put that podcast on. Yes, ma'am. I'll wait and do that when I'm on the mower. Yeah. Okay.
I've got a couple of those that Leah will listen to some in the car, and it's always like, your college basketball podcast you can just listen to.
I'm going to go to sleep. But to that point, I saw a meme that said, you can just go to the store and buy a birthday cake. They don't ask you if it's your birthday.
That's right.
You can just go buy one and eat it.
Right.
It's fine. Nobody cards you on it, And I think, the same is pretty much true about, like you said, as long as it's moral, whatever you want to choose, whatever you're curious about, learn a little more about it. It's a good thing to do.
I'll make one quick suggestion here from that. That's true, and like I said, I just said it, so
yes.
hopefully it's true.
Good.
Here's a temptation, though, that I've seen guys fall into, and I've struggled with it sometimes. If you really have an area you love, maybe your area is, hunting or something, and so you read about it, listen to podcasts about it, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Don't then make that every illustration of every sermon or every Bible class.
Okay.
Because not everybody in your congregation even likes hunting. Some guys people think it's wrong to hunt, but some people just don't like it. Yeah. They don't know anything about it. And if all you ever do is illustrate because you love American history, everybody else has to love American history. And so every illustration, because you still need to at least consume information from other places to help with illustrating sermons, with illustrations for Bible classes, those sorts of things. So don't fall into that trap of being a one-trick pony.
Well, and to that same point, but kind of from a different angle, don't just read the same stuff all the time either. Mm-hmm. I mean, I kind of struggle with the restoration movement. Now, you as a history guy, you're probably all into that. I don't know, but
not as much as you might think.
Okay.
I've read some, but I wouldn't say I've read widely.
I'm learning to appreciate like the Raccoon John Smiths and those guys a little more now, and even those outside of the restoration movement specifically, but who were preaching around the same time, in early America and that kind of thing. I mean, their sermons were rich, and they just spoke in a different way. That's not my bag of tea most of the time. It just isn't. But I understand that it's important for me to stretch my brain to read some of that. And so I try and work it in every now and again. To try and vary, the genres that you're reading, the authors you're reading, like you say, even to finish that book, even though it's not your favorite, and, it might take you 2 years to do it. But at the end of it, you can say, hey, I did it, and I can count it among my 61.
That's right. I may have started it 4 years ago, but I finished it this year. So
I finally get to count it.
I only got 59 in, but I finished that book from 2004. So
yeah, exactly. It's a 2004. So, I don't know. That's good stuff, and I think it's good to try, especially for people like us who were trying to appeal to a wide variety of individuals. We understand not everybody's a sports fan or an American history fan or whatever fan. To hit people with different things and a wide variety of things can be helpful.
Yeah, and this is off topic a little bit, but just going down that rabbit hole, that is one good use of not just the internet but of AI.
Okay.
For finding illustrations.
Yeah, that's right.
It is, instead of just saying like you do on Google, you know, sermon illustrations on faith or whatever. In something like ChatGPT or Gemini, you can be very specific. And if you know yourself and you're going, okay, I've illustrated from the world of sports 6 weeks in a row.
Right.
I need an illustration this week. ChatGPT, find me one, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
From the world of art.
Yeah.
Or for the world of, opera or it's something you know very little about.
Exactly.
But you're like, there's got to be a story somewhere from the Olympics, or from Russian history or whatever whatever it happens to be.
Right.
That's a good use of that because it narrows. It makes you look, man, this guy knows about everything.
Yeah, he must have a research assistant. But I have learned to tell ChatGPT, please make it a real story.
Yes.
And cite the source.
Cite the source.
Yeah. And that way I can look back and make sure that it's okay.
That's it. So that may be a little rabbit hole, but again, it keeps us from falling into that trap of, okay, I love fishing, so every illustration is fishing. Well, Jesus, knew how to fish, but not every illustration was about fish.
That's a good point. Yeah. Wonder what he drew in the dirt, by the way. Anyway, we digress.
That's your next podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
You can read about that.
Yeah, we're going to let Wayne Jones answer that one. That'll be great. Well, this is just a little encouragement to keep going by keeping on growing. And by the way, we haven't even mentioned the fact that there's great benefit in if you're in a season of discouragement, if you're in a season that's very busy, you may feel like you just got to get up and churn out and then get right back to whatever it is that's the fire that's raging. But taking some time for a devotional time, and that's kind of what I call it. I try and start my morning that way, Bible reading, prayer, and then 30 minutes, whatever you got, reading something else, that's not the Bible but is biblical. That I've found has been very, very much time well spent and sort of a lifeline. I mean, I need that. It's not just about, did I get all the sermon work done this week? It's about, how am I different this week than I was last?
Yeah. It is a matter of, am I closer to God tomorrow than I was today? Yeah. And am I, pardon me for using this phrase, but am I a better person tomorrow than I was today? Yeah. Maybe I'm reading books right now about marriage.
Yeah, yeah.
Am I a better husband because I read this stuff tomorrow than I was today? That's what it's about.
Yeah. When I was younger, I used to not want to read books about marriage, not because I didn't realize how ignorant I was on the subject as a younger married person, but just because I was like, oh, that punches me in the gut every time. And marriage books still punch me in the gut, but I have learned over time, I really need that. I don't know. I guess I'm thinking I must have grown. Well, and I think I'm different now.
That brings this thought to mind. I'll say this very briefly.
Yeah.
Just because you finish a stage in life, you need to keep reading about it because you're going to keep preaching on it.
That's right.
We're empty nesters as of last Saturday as recording this.
Yeah, yeah.
That doesn't mean I've read my last parenting book.
Okay.
Because hopefully I'll keep preaching on it or teaching Bible classes about it. So I don't need to say, well, I'm through with that. Yeah. So I never need to learn anything about it.
Good point.
No. Yeah. There's still ways to encourage parents. They're coming after me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Good stuff. Well, preachers, we've got a lot of work to do. You got a lot of reading to do. I'll just note that you could look back through the lightnetwork.tv at the book club archives. There's some really good episodes there that Brad McNutt has put together, and he's bringing the book club back. Did you know?
Really? No, I didn't know.
He is. He's bringing the book club back, and you should be seeing some of those at the lightnetwork.tv very soon as well if you're looking for some nice book recommendations. All right. The Pearly Peacock is breaking people's booths as we're recording today.
I look over and a map of the United States is falling over.
It's falling over.
Are we? Is there news we need to know about? I'm very concerned right now.
Hey, listen, that's going to do it for this edition of Preachers in Training. That was on a podcast. Emily, there you go. Thank you, Adam. We appreciate your time.
Always enjoy it.
Check them out in Paducah, Kentucky if you're ever in the area. Let's go preach the word.